This movie was supposed to be a response to Jaws.
I don't see that at all.
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to a very erratic bonus episode of the Horror of Babylon, where we discuss the J-horror classic House, the one from 1977, not the 80s one.
Yeah, not the American 1987 movie or the more recent 2022 movie.
Yeah, and there are other ones too. But
yeah, I guess House is just a popular title.
It is. And I am Ryan. With me, as always, is... Hold on, we can't be Ryan and Daniel.
I'm obviously Kung Fu.
No, I was gonna say we have to make up our own. You can't. You can't pick.
Okay.
Like you have to. Like you're gonna be like Prevert, and I'll be.
Yeah, I like Prevert,
and I'll be Gollum. I don't know.
Gollum's fine.
All right, I'm Gollum. But if we're gonna pick from the girls, I guess I'll be Mac, and you can be Kung Fu.
Mac, really? Wow.
Well. I don't. She's the only one I even slightly identified with.
I would have called you gorgeous.
No. You know who is gorgeous? All of our patrons.
Oh.
Including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben the Fourth, Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker, and Sierra the Sixth, the Keyblade Patron. And maybe a little less on the gorgeous scale than the other five, but we do have to mention Ronald the Third Grampus of Christmas and his store, Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in the Morgantown, West Virginia, Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can also shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And Ron, if you haven't seen this movie, you need to watch it.
I think Ron would love this movie.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of movie, because he really likes like the trauma films.
Yeah.
And like he really likes the Evil Dead movies and just crazy batshit stuff like that.
I think he would absolutely adore this film.
Trigger warning.
Are they high schoolers?
Yeah.
High schoolers getting murdered, I guess.
Hiya! Happy Easter!
Yeah, I mean, I guess death of children, yes, technically, yeah. It's not presented in like a pet. It's not like Pet Sematary, Death of Children.
The only trigger warning I can really think of has to do a lot with the themes, and I don't know quite how to phrase it.
Themes?
Yes, this movie. This is why I had to do research, because I didn't understand what the movie was about.
I just thought it was supposed to be crazy, and you were supposed to either enjoy the ride or not.
No, It is supposed to be experimental, but apparently there's sort of a point.
Okay. All right. We'll ask Bill's lit professor in a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, this comes from the director, not from like random YouTube essays.
Yeah. Okay. So our history with House. I had this recommended for an internet personality that I really trust, or I used to really trust. And it's been on my to-watch list for a long time, and today was my very first time watching it.
This has been on my to-watch list for, probably 5-10 years. I'm really big into J-horror, and this is like one of those cult classic ones that used to be super obscure. Now the internet exists, so something being obscure is a lot harder these days.
Yeah.
But it's still considered that cult classic type of movie.
Yeah. It's not like Ringu or Grudge or...
Yeah, and I'd seen clips of it, like I'd seen clips of the piano eating the girl. I think that's like the most famous one. Or the Max Head is a clip that goes around a lot. And I'm like, this looks delightfully goofy. And I was like, it was giving me like Evil Dead or Reanimator vibes. So I was like, okay, it'll be a goofy little time.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition.
I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Background, this film was released July 30th, 1977. It was directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi.
He was mostly a commercial director who was approached by Toho, the Godzilla people, because
they're the everything people.
They wanted their own answer to Jaws. This movie was supposed to be a response to Jaws.
I don't see that at all.
But that's like how it started, was like, and they picked him to write a script, and he went to his daughter and said, hey, will you just write down everything that scares you? I think she was 5 or 10 at the time, somewhere in that age range. And he just took everything she wrote down and turned that into the script.
He also did an adaptation of The Drifting Classroom.
God, I can't remember the name of, I think it's called a tracking shot. That one shot where it like kind of zooms in and back at the same time in Jaws. Mm-hmm. On the beach. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yep.
That shot is replicated in this movie right outside the well before they get Mac's head. Mm. And that's the only thing that seems to be the same, is that one shot.
People die.
Yeah. I think they just wanted their own summer blockbuster horror movie, and they hired a dude who... And at first, he wanted to direct it, and Toho said, no, we want an in-studio director. They hired him to write the script from outside. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't find anyone to get attached to the project, so he went and he made business cards, posters, and a manga before the movie was ever actually finalized, and started passing them out and getting them publicity, to where it became one of the most hotly anticipated movies before it ever started filming in Japan.
It says the screenplay was written by Chiho Katsura.
That might be his daughter. I don't know if she technically wrote the screenplay. I know she wrote down all the ideas.
Yeah, his daughter was Chigumi.
Chigumi, okay.
And he developed the ideas for a script which was written by Chiho Katsura.
Okay.
Who doesn't have an IMDb, she might have an IMDb page in that. Here we go. Lusty, transparent man. Rape the 13th hour.
I want to see these movies.
Secret honeymoon. Rape train.
Oh my god. Next time on the Horror of Babylon.
Orgasm, Mariko. This is porn. Flower and Snakes, Sketch of Hell, Elder Sister's Diary.
I no longer want to be a horror writer, Ryan. I want to write porn.
So this person just legitimately is a porn writer. Which is fine. I'm not... hentai, too. That's cool. I'm going down, but I still haven't found anything that's not obviously porn.
Sins of Sister
House
Lucia.
is the first thing on here that isn't porn.
Assault, Jack the Ripper.
Apartment Wife, Flesh Financing. Legend of the Sex Thief in Edo. Overly Ripe Breasts, Married Women.
Oh my god. I know what we're doing next summer.
We're gonna go through Chiho Katsura's entire catalog. Every single movie.
Oh my god.
Film received generally negative reviews, was a box office hit in Japan. After being widely released in North America in 2009-2010, it met with more favorable response and has gained a cult following.
It's just one of those sorts of movies. It is basically Japan's Evil Dead.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Okay, so let's jump to structure and themes, and you can explain what this movie is about.
Okay, so structure-wise, he flat out said, I want it to be experimental, which it
success.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there for the first 20 or 30 minutes of this movie, completely lost. I'm like, this seems like a movie that's made by somebody who is not as smart as they think they are. Which might be a mean thought, but that's my initial reaction.
I agree.
Like, everything is, like, overly ambitious or just weird for the sake of being weird, and I'm like, does he want me to believe this is symbolic?
So, jumping in on that real quick, the whole, like, first half an hour, in my head, I had it stuck, like, I feel like I'm watching a Beatles movie. And, I Googled it to, like, see if I was crazy, and I found a horror blog, and the guy who writes this blog was doing a review of this, and he was comparing it to the Beatles movies and the Monkees TV show. It has a very similar, erratic sense of humor to that.
Which I guess makes sense for the time it was made. Like, 70s. It feels very 70s.
Yeah.
This might be the most 70s feeling film I've ever watched. It wasn't until I got, when they're on the train and they're doing the flashback, and it's like they're watching the real, because they're all commenting on the memory like they can see it.
Because apparently they could.
Yeah. So, there's this line where they show the atomic bomb going off.
Mm-hmm. It's like, ooh, it looks like cotton candy.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm just no one can see my face on makeup. I'm just staring at the screen. I'm like, what the fuck kind of line is that?
It was not a line I would expect out of a piece of Japanese media.
Okay, so here's supposedly what part of the movie is about. Is the chaotic disconnect between somebody who lived through the atomic bombs going off and having their friends die, which would be the director, and a generation that is so far removed from it that they can make stupid-ass joke comments like that. That is the underlying issue of the movie, is this disconnect between the elderly Japanese woman who suffered because of the war and all of these young girls who grew up in a time period where they don't... It'd be like somebody 2 generations removed from 9/11 making a joke going, oh, look at those cigarettes, or something like that. Something stupid like that.
Yeah.
And that is what the movie is about.
I don't think if I watched it 20 times back to back, I would have ever...
I only know this because I had to do research, and I only did research because of that line. Because I was like, what the fuck kind of, like, what is going on in this movie? Turns out the director lived through World War II. He had friends actually die from the atomic bomb. And he wanted to incorporate the feeling of chaos that all of that kind of brought out.
Chaos is a good descriptor for this movie.
Yep.
I just kind of assumed it was just like it was supposed to be like a special effects centered kind of experimental horror movie.
Also, yes.
Obviously, it is, but I didn't think it would be anything more than that.
So the only point of comparison I had with that was a movie a little movie that Ryan might know called Grave of the Fireflies.
Yep.
Which was also made because the director thought current generations hadn't suffered enough.
But I can watch Grave of the Fireflies
and understand what it's about.
Yeah.
But like in terms of like underlying intent, which is why there's a lot of flashing in the movie. Apparently, it's supposed to invoke the feelings of the flash of the bomb.
So here's my comment back to the director. Do you think that teenagers living in Japan in the 1970s would go and see this movie and then walk out of it and be like, oh, we need to take World War II more seriously? Is that what you realistically think that they're going to get from this?
I don't think he cared. I just think that was
good.
That's the story he wanted to tell.
Well, I can kind of see it now. Like, yeah, I understand.
But I had to, because maybe we're stupid, but I don't think the average person would get that on a watch.
I am not the most intuitive movie watcher.
I'm not the most media literate person, I will admit.
But I do not think 98% of audiences would understand that without having it spelled out to them.
But that is the reason why I was like, I watched like 5 video essays, I read like 10 reviews. I was sitting there going, I have to understand what the fuck I am watching.
I read one paragraph of one blog because I was just like, is there somebody else in the world who's getting the Beatles from this? Yes, there is.
Yeah. Which I think is probably also intentional. It's Evil Dead if somebody was doing acid the whole time.
It's a little bit more slow burny, But yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And like the reason all the girls have stupid names that are just basically their personality traits.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't find a quote from the director on this. This was mostly coming from like secondhand source articles. Was supposed to be a dig at underwritten characters in other movies.
Like that's the first thing I was gonna say about these characters.
It was supposed to be a joke. Was like, oh, they're all stupid one-note characters, so we're just gonna give them one-note names as well. You're just here for the body count. But I couldn't find something from the director that confirmed that.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Characters, and I'm not. So let's just say the girls, because I'm not listing them all out.
I think the only character with like a real personality would be the aunt.
Yeah.
At least she has like a motivation. And a personality. You know that goes beyond just the. I guess her personality is just, I'm mad at young people because I didn't get married.
There's a smidge of story with Gorgeous and her dad and her soon-to-be stepmom.
Yeah.
But it's a smidge.
You have that, God, I think it was was it Fantasy that was like really into the teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Togo.
What did you think of the teacher turning into bananas?
It was literally the only time I laughed out loud the entire movie.
I laughed a lot, mostly because I was confused. I don't know if it was... I was finding it funny. I was just going, what am I supposed to be taking from this moment?
I honestly... 20 minutes in, it put me in a real bad mood, and I was just kind of grumpy the whole time. And then it's just like the scene with Mr. Togo and the watermelon vendor. I was just like, what? And then it came back to it later, and it's just a pile of bananas in his car, and that got me. I'm like, oh, you got me.
I'm gonna be fucking hearing the theme song from this movie in my head for days, and I'm not too happy about it.
I don't remember it.
I'm surprised because they played it so much.
Yeah, it went in one ear and went out the other.
I guess we can talk about character deaths. This is sort of slashery in that.
It was... Oh no, I'm getting attacked by futons! The futons... Are they attacking you, or are they falling off the shelf and falling on you?
I like that we didn't even see Max.
That, honestly, that's probably the best one, because you don't see it.
I feel like... I'm not here to criticize people who like this movie, because I can see the genre that it is and the types of people that like this movie.
I did not like this movie. However, I don't like this genre of movie, so I'm not going to make you listen to me for 30... I can't make anybody... I'm not going to sit here for 30 minutes and list out every reason I don't like it. Because it's not my genre.
I think the best thing I can say about this movie is that it made me want to figure out what the fuck I was watching, so I actually sat there and did research.
I really like the poster.
I like the poster. I like that the cat was a bad guy.
Yeah.
I kind of like the aunt. She broke the fourth wall a lot, which is usually stuff that I enjoy in movies.
Yeah.
Like looking directly at the camera and just doing weird shit for the camera.
I like the house, but I wish they would have used a real house instead of something that was super obviously a set. They probably didn't have the budget, but I feel like I would have enjoyed this movie a lot more if they actually, went to the mountains and used like a real old house.
Melody died by a piano eating her.
That was something that happened.
Yeah, it's probably the most famous scene from the movie.
I would not have guessed that one. I don't know what would be.
Usually when people show clips of the movie, it's either that scene or the Mac head scene.
Yeah, the Mac head
because,
scene.
Because, she says the thing and she bites the other girl's ass. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny.
Yep. Okay. You know what I really enjoyed in this movie?
What?
The thought that a bear might serve me ramen.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the scenes in this movie were really chosen because this guy literally just took his daughter's notes and went, all right. Like, she probably wrote down something like, a bear serving ramen. And he was like, all right.
All right.
Yeah, and he just went with it.
Yeah.
I really admire the dude's hustle, like, to get the directing job.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Scary shit. Is this movie scary?
I don't think it's meant to be.
No, I've always had it described to me as a comedy, and yes, I think it's like a special effects centered horror comedy.
Like, I think I talked about this in the Evil Dead review, where I think the first one, they tried to make it scary, and it ended accidentally being goofy, and that's what people liked, so that's what they kept doing.
Yeah.
This, I felt like it was set out to be goofy from the start, with just some very obscure digs in certain directions.
Yeah.
And very obscure references that if you blink, you miss it. Like, the one Jaws shot that I didn't know about until I watched, I think it was my second video on this movie. And then they put them side by side. I'm like, okay, so that's the one thing.
Yeah, no, not scary.
I just don't know why, if you wanted your own Jaws, why you wouldn't just pick a book.
Or just make some sort of creature feature. There's so many cool Japanese demons, and there's so many cool animals, like the fucking giant brown bear that killed all those people in Hokkaido.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, I want
it's
that.
It's the bear attack with the most kills that's been documented.
Is there a book on that one? I want that one.
Probably. And Golden Kamuy did an entire OVA on it.
I need to get back on Golden Kamuy. I'm kind of behind now.
Well, I'm just waiting for the last season to come out, because I missed season 4 and season 5 is the last one. So
I might as well just binge it all together.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, that makes sense. We like Golden Kamuy.
Yeah, I was waiting for season 4 to come out, and then at some point I saw an advertisement for season 5. I'm like, when did season 4 come out? I was like, oh, last year. Well, what the fuck? So I'm just waiting.
We're an anime podcast now.
Yeah, I would totally do Golden Kamuy. There's scary-ish stuff, like the serial killer in season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work. Okay, so the effects, for me, the effects kind of bounced back and forth between being really cool and really cringy. There were some that were just great, and then there were some that looked bad, or maybe they aged bad. Maybe they looked good at the time, but they don't look good anymore.
Yeah.
What did you think of the effects?
I didn't know what was supposed to be weird looking on purpose and what wasn't.
Yeah.
So across the board, I was just like, I'm just going to try to be on this roller coaster and see where it takes me.
Yeah, I think had it not had 35 minutes of teenage girls prattling at each other at the beginning and not made me relive sitting through Higurashi and the first 2 hours worth of Doki Doki Literature Club, I may have been able to get on the roller coaster.
I still don't see the comparison.
I mean, so think about the structure of Higurashi. You have 2 episodes of just kids being kids and nonsense, and then bad things happen. And this movie is
I just think the major difference is those things have characters with motivations and...
Yeah, but that's not the axis that I'm comparing them on.
Okay,
I'm comparing it on it's boring schoolgirl nonsense, and then it devolves into the cute Japanese girls getting tortured and killed. I mean, just like the way you always say, I love things about it, anime girls who with horrible things happen to them. So
I do. I guess I also like what those things tend to do with their characters.
Yeah. No, I would not argue that.
And this just doesn't have characters.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
I think even if you're a fan of this movie, you have to admit that even if it's apparently it's on purpose, you have to admit that they're not characters.
They're not. No,
they
don't even have names.
They're named after what they do.
Yeah.
They named the girl who is maybe 5 pounds overweight after mac and cheese.
I don't even think she's 5 pounds overweight. I think she has her cheeks are a little more full.
She has chubby cheeks. That's Japanese fat.
Yeah, that was honestly that made me mad.
That's 70s Japanese fat. Though that does remind me of that meme. Have you seen the? It's Homer Simpson on a scale, and it just goes, "This was comically obese in whatever year."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that reminded me of. Only way worse.
I think he was 250, and I was like, 250 isn't a healthy weight.
Yeah.
But it's also...
not what people are now.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what that reminded me of, was that meme. Was I'm sitting there like, is this what fat people were in Japan at the time?
I'm saying 250 is not a healthy weight for most people.
Yeah.
Obviously, at a certain height with a certain amount of muscle mass.
Yeah, if you're 6'2",
yeah,
6'1",
and you pump iron, then yeah.
But people should know what we're talking. We're talking about unhealthy weight.
Kung Fu is supposed to be like this big badass throughout the whole movie, and then she dies like a... I was about to say dies like a bitch. That doesn't...
No, she dies like a bitch.
She has like a Mace Windu-esque death.
She gets bisected by, what was it, a light fixture?
Yeah.
And then her legs still kick the painting.
But, okay, maybe I shouldn't say she died like a bitch when one of her friends got killed by falling futons.
You gotta grade her on a curve.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, she was the only one fighting throughout that entire movie.
Well, yeah, because she's manlier than all the men.
She knows Kung Fu.
She knows...
Karate!
They called it Kung Fu and Karate.
Yeah, they were going back and forth. She knows both.
Oh my god, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz. What's your king?
Max Head.
The ramen bear. I thought it was really cute.
It's either that or the bananas.
The bananas also, yeah. It's hard to say like one specific thing for Koontz because I just couldn't get into the movie overall. And again, it's for me, it's not my kind of movie. Like, I'm not a big Evil Dead person. I'm not a big J-horror person. I'm not a big cute girls get tortured and killed person. So it was just kind of a mixture of things that I'm not crazy about. So my Koontz is that I didn't know more about this movie going in. Because then maybe I could have had adjusted expectations.
My Koontz is it got way too long to get started with anything entertaining.
Yeah, the first 30 minutes were the worst.
I was honestly not entertained up until she said the cotton candy line about the atomic bomb, because that's the first thing that made me go, wait a minute.
I was trying to not use this word, but I was bored. I thought it was boring.
I was also bored. I was bored for the first 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it struck me as an art house film by somebody who thought they were smarter than they were. That might not be a fair assessment, but that is how I felt.
As I had similar thoughts, but... Okay. Rankings. So this was your very first time watching it, right?
Yeah. We should watch all the other houses.
Do we have to watch every episode of House?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. I think I'd rather die than actually sit and watch House.
Say that again when Hef's on.
Okay. I really don't like House.
I don't either, but that's another one where I'm not a fan of the genre. It's not a comment on the show's quality. It's I also don't like Scrubs, and I know Scrubs is like a very...
I love Scrubs.
But if it takes place in a hospital, I'm off. Like, no way. I'm not participating.
I tell you the idea for my sitcom.
Scrubs 2.
Basically, we're going to it's going to take place in a mental health hospital. So it'll be based off of my adventures. Mm-hmm. But I'm just going to hire the cast of Scrubs and call the show not Scrubs.
So I read all of the Willy's Wonderland comics.
Yeah.
And the framing device is basically you and your friends.
Yeah.
Because the conceit of it is that it gives you an origin story for each of the 6 or 7 serial killers, and then they all end up at the same mental institution for criminals.
Yeah.
And then the end of it is them all breaking out and then eventually showing up at Willy's Wonderland. So all you and your friends are in it and have to deal with these people getting breaking out. I won't say specifically what happens, but you can assume it doesn't end well for the people in the Scrubs on the ward. So here, Ring Kazenbon is number 50.
Oh, it's way below Ring Kazenbon.
Okay. Pearl?
Way below Pearl.
Gyo?
Gyo had that weird sex scene that I at least found funny.
Valerian?
Okay, so let's see. It Chapter 2, Alien Covenant. I think I might be able to learn to appreciate this movie on some level which I have not been able to do for Prometheus despite repeated rewatches. So it's going to be in this range.
Okay.
I think I'm going to put it right below Valerian, and that's mostly just because we sat and we watched. I really think we need to start watching some of these movies together with beer.
We will watch Kenan and Kel.
Yeah. Because I honestly, that also was my thought, was I think Ryan would be having a better time if we were watching this together.
I agree. I think beer and food...
Like a day off where we can just sit and drink a little bit and eat some food and then just laugh at the stupid shit. But Valerian was just such a good time that I would watch it again.
Okay, so it's your new number 88, under Valerian and above Covenant. Mine's not going to be very high either. It'll be my new 105, below Alien 3, and above Blade 2. Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit that should have worked better for me in this. I feel like if it was filmed more traditionally, I probably would have liked it way more.
I honestly thought you were going to like it, but I agree with every criticism you've made, so...
So I just sitting there like... I'm not a bit... It has to be really... I don't know. Sometimes I like experimentation, and this time it didn't work for me.
Okay, homework. You're going to be the 8th girl in the group. What is your character stereotype and your name, and how do you die in the house?
My name is Panties, because no matter what I do, it happens to be a panty shot, and then my panties come alive and eat me from the waist up.
Ooh. I'm the sauce.
The sauce.
Because I'm just so saucy.
Yeah.
And that I'm asked to go and pick up soy sauce for dinner because they forgot the soy sauce, and I disappear for half of the movie, and towards the end of the movie, when they're trying to like run away, they make it like 5 feet down the road and see that I've been drowned in a giant bottle of soy sauce.
I could go for some soy sauce.
You don't drink it straight, do you?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not here to judge. Although I am concerned about your blood pressure now.
You should be. It's not great.
All right, upcoming on the Horror of Babylon, this coming Sunday, we are doing our watch-along episode of the Night of the Living Dummy episode of the new Goosebumps series on Disney+. And then the following Sunday, June 30th, we are reading The Haunted Mask by R.L. Stine, which I promise we'll be a lot happier to be on that episode. And on Thursday, July 4th, Four Horsemen is sponsoring us to watch and review Independence Day, 1996. Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, Bill Pullman, that Jewish guy that's pretty funny. I don't remember his name ever.
I just call him the Jewish guy. I guess I should say, people would just say which one, because there's a lot of Jewish people in that movie.
Yeah, but like, Jeff Goldblum's dad.
Yeah, he's a stereotype.
Yeah,
He's a, oh fuck, I used to know the director's name.
Roland Emmerich.
Yeah, Roland Emmerich. He puts stereotypes in his movies.
Yeah. I would say that one is to good effect.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of them are. Okay, but we can discuss that on the Independence Day episode.
Yeah.
And some stereotypes who are also to good effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not really sure where I was going with that one. Thank you to our patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben, the Fourth Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yeah.
Oh, she makes it rain. And thank you to Sierra the Sixth, the Keyblade Patron. And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at 4horsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it in the store, say hello to Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. His if he were the 8th girl, he'd be bald. And he'd be like the one that's like a cancer survivor, and she's still trying to grow back her hair.
I thought you were going to go with, like, he's a guy pretending to be a high school girl.
Actually, no. He would probably just play the teacher. Can you imagine? Yeah. Imagine him, like, falling down the hill and getting his ass stuck in that bucket, and it's so obvious that you can just pull the bucket off, but no, I have to go to the hospital!
I can also imagine him screaming, I hate watermelons.
And the watermelon vendor is so offended that he just dies.
I like banana.
I like banana. I like watermelons too. I like both.
I don't like watermelon, so that's how I would probably die.
It's a good way to stay hydrated if you don't want to drink water. All right. Well, thank you for watching House and recording with me tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a movie. Thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.
You lied to me, Graham Stark.